Have you ever looked at a business and just wondered, how do they do it? How do they seem to leap so far ahead of everyone else? Well, a lot of the time, the secret isn't some crazy new invention. It's about using the tools they already have, their information systems, in a radically smarter way. So let's open up the playbook for turning everyday tech into your secret weapon. And to really get what strategy is all about, we're not going to start in some stuffy boardroom. Nope. We're going to start in a garden with a little story about a small business called Gardeners Plus. So, Gardeners Plus was doing pretty well for itself. It was a small but profitable company run by 3 partners, and they did the basics: residential gardening and, in the winter, snow removal. They had a solid local reputation and good money coming in. Things were good. And then, bam, opportunity knocks. The manager of a big local mall had seen the awesome work they'd done for City Hall and was super impressed. He comes to them and says, "Hey, I want you to handle all the commercial services for the mall and its stores." I mean, talk about a major step up, right? But hang on, this huge opportunity, it came with some equally huge problems. They'd need to buy all this expensive new equipment that would just sit around collecting dust in the winter. Plus, they'd be going from lots of small customers to just a few massive clients. If they lost even one of those contracts, it could sink the whole company. They had a really tough choice to make. So what did they do? They turned to their high-tech, cutting-edge information system, which was, you guessed it, a simple spreadsheet. Seriously. They just plugged in the numbers, analyzed the costs, looked at what competitors were doing, and they found something critical. Services like balcony gardening, for instance, needed equipment that was just way too expensive for what they could possibly make back. So they made a strategic call to not offer those services, using simple data to dodge a huge financial bullet. That little spreadsheet, that was their secret weapon. See, it wasn't about the technology itself. It was all about how they used it to make a smart, strategic decision. And that, right there, brings us to the core idea of what we're talking about today. A strategic information system, or SIS, isn't some fancy piece of software you can buy off the shelf. It's defined by its purpose. It can be anything from a spreadsheet to a massive global network, as long as it's being used to grab opportunities and get a real, lasting edge on the competition. And this really gets to a crucial difference. Most of the time, IT is used for operations. Solving today's problems, putting out fires. It's totally necessary, but it's reactive. A strategic system is proactive. It's not about fixing what's broken. It's about imagining and building what comes next. It's about creating brand new possibilities. And hey, this isn't some niche idea. A survey from CIO Insight found that a full third of IT executives are actually helping to create the overall business strategy. And the other 2/3, they're the ones executing it. The message here is crystal clear. Technology isn't just a support department anymore. It's right there, at the very heart of the business. Okay, so if IT is at the heart of strategy, what do the moves actually look like? Well, we can think about it like a coach's playbook, and it's basically broken down into 3 types of plays. You've got your offense, your defense, and your efficiency plays. All right, offensive plays, these are all about creating totally new advantages, seemingly out of thin air. Think about eBay. They basically invented the entire online auction market. Or look at Skype. They weren't the first to offer calls over the internet, but they set themselves apart with way higher quality. And Progressive Insurance, they didn't just sell insurance, they enhanced their product with a service to help you find a new car if yours was totaled. These moves just create brand new value for customers. Next up, defensive plays. This is all about building a fortress around your business and protecting your turf. Amazon's patent on one-click purchasing, that was a genius legal barrier to stop competitors. Microsoft is the master of high switching costs. Once your entire company learns and depends on MS Office, switching to something else is a massive pain. And of course, Apple locked in its buyers beautifully by making sure iTunes files would only play on their iPods. That created a powerful ecosystem that was really hard to leave. And finally, we have efficiency plays, which are all about optimizing your game, just making everything run smoother, faster, and cheaper. FedEx saved a fortune by letting us track our own packages online instead of paying someone to answer the phone. And check out the brilliant alliance between HP and FedEx. HP literally keeps its products inside FedEx warehouses. So the second an order comes in, it can be on a truck within hours. That's a massive competitive advantage built on pure, simple efficiency. So, as you can see, getting these plays right can lead to some incredible success. But getting them wrong? Well, that can be an absolute catastrophe. Let's look at 2 stories that could not be more different. So on one side, you've got JetBlue. They jumped into the airline industry when it was losing billions of dollars. But here's the thing, being a latecomer was actually their biggest advantage. They weren't saddled with ancient, clunky computer systems. They built their whole operation from the ground up on modern, efficient IT. Then you have Ford, a huge market leader. They tried to be pioneers and sell cars directly online, but they completely ignored the messy reality of state laws and, more importantly, their relationship with their own dealers. So what was the result of JetBlue's brilliant strategy? Get this. Their cost to fly one passenger 1 single mile was less than 7 cents. Their old-school competitors, they were spending 11 cents or more to do the exact same thing. That incredible efficiency, driven by smart IT, meant they could offer better service for less money and actually make a profit when almost no one else could. Ford's billion-dollar failure, on the other hand, is a textbook example of the bleeding edge. You've heard of the cutting edge, right? Well, the bleeding edge is when you're so far out in front that you just end up bleeding cash on an idea that the world just isn't ready for. It's a painful lesson that being first isn't always the best strategy. So what does all this mean for you? Look, you don't have to be the CEO to think this way. In fact, some of the absolute best strategic ideas come from somewhere else entirely. There's this really powerful idea, which is a modern take on something Napoleon once said, that every single person in a company should be thinking strategically. The people who are closest to the actual work, day in and day out, are often the ones who see the amazing opportunities for innovation that the executives in the corner office might completely miss. Your unique perspective is a strategic asset. So I'll leave you with this one final question. I want you to think about the tools you use every day, the processes you follow, the problems you have to solve. Now, what if you started looking at them not just as a to-do list, but as clues to a much bigger strategic play? What's the opportunity that's hiding in plain sight, right there in your daily work?